Have you ever held something so ordinary, yet unknowingly worth a fortune? Right now, sitting in a dusty drawer, an old piggy bank, or a forgotten coin jar in your home, there could be a 1960 mint mark Lincoln penny, one that's worth not just a few cents, not just a few $100s, but up to $1 million. Recently, one of these seemingly insignificant copper coins sold for $962,000. That's nearly $1 million, for a single penny. Yes, really. 1 cent, almost $1 million. Before you dismiss this as another tall tale, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, not only will you understand why this coin is so valuable, but you'll also know exactly how to identify one, how to verify it, and how to potentially turn it into life-changing wealth. Let's start by painting a picture. It's 1960. John F. Kennedy is running for president. Elvis is topping the charts. And over at the Denver Mint, something fascinating happens. A subtle variation in how pennies were struck leads to one of the most intriguing coin anomalies in American numismatic history. Most Americans never notice. But collectors? They've been hunting for this error for decades. Now, you might be thinking, a penny from 1960? Surely they made millions of those. And you're right, they did. But here's where it gets interesting. There are two types of 1960 Lincoln cents, the small date and the large date. The small date version, when minted incorrectly or doubled, can command staggering prices, especially when combined with rare doubling errors or pristine mint condition. That's right. It's not just any 1960 penny. It's the rare combination of the 1960 small date double die obverse that's sending shockwaves through the coin collecting world. You see, in the minting process, sometimes the die, the tool used to stamp the coin, gets misaligned or struck twice, creating what's called a double die. On the 1960 small date penny, this doubling is noticeable on the date and inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust. If you spot one of these, your financial situation could change overnight. Imagine finding one of these coins, selling it, and wiping out your mortgage, your credit card debt, maybe even paying off your kids' student loans, with a penny. The emotional shift alone would be worth it. Freedom. Relief. Peace of mind. And here's the kicker, many of these valuable coins are still circulating. Some sit inside old penny rolls, tucked away in grandma's attic, or left forgotten in old vending machine trays. Most people overlook them. But not you, not anymore. So, how do you know if your penny is the one? First, check the date. Is it a 1960? Look closely at the numbers. If the 9 and the 0 look thinner or closer together, that could indicate the small date variety. Then, examine it under a magnifying glass. Focus on the word Liberty and In God We Trust. Is there any doubling of the letters? Any unusual thickness? You don't need to be a coin expert to see the clues. But you do need to act quickly, because demand for these coins is skyrocketing. Collectors are aggressively buying up unsearched penny rolls, estate sale collections, and coin jars from private sellers, before word spreads too far. Funny, isn't it? We spend years chasing side hustles and get-rich-quick schemes, when all along, a small piece of copper might be our golden ticket. Now, let's say you find one. What's next? Don't rush off to the nearest pawn shop. That's like trading in a Picasso at a yard sale. Instead, have your coin authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade, especially if it's a mint state, MS 65 or higher, can add tens or hundreds of thousands to its value. But here's the twist, even lower grade versions of this coin can sell for thousands. That's right. Even circulated, worn-down examples have sold for $5,000, $15,000, even $30,000 depending on the condition and clarity of the doubling. It's not all or nothing. There's real money to be made at every tier, and here's something that might just make you chuckle. Back in 1960, some of these coins were rejected by banks because of their odd appearance. Can you imagine? Sorry ma'am, we don't take weird pennies. Fast forward 60 years, and collectors are practically begging to buy them for six figures. Still with me? Good. Because we're just getting to the juicy part. You might be wondering, how many of these coins actually exist? Are they truly rare, or just hyped up? Well, according to expert estimates, only a few dozen examples in pristine condition are known to exist. And only one or two are near perfect. Those are the ones commanding prices near the $1 million mark. The $962,000 sale. That was for a near-flawless specimen, certified by PCGS as MS67+. The coin was described as a blazing red copper masterpiece, a once-in-a-lifetime find, but here's the urgent truth: as more people become aware of this coin, the less likely you are to find one first. Early birds are already combing through coin rolls, estate collections, and online auctions. This is a limited window of opportunity. Don't wait until this becomes common knowledge. Because by then, the $1 million pennies will be in someone else's hands. And before we wrap up, let me leave you with this: what if you walked past wealth every single day without knowing it? What if the key to a better life, one with less stress, more freedom, more possibility, was sitting in the palm of your hand this whole time? Are you ready to check that old jar of coins now? Because coming up next, we're diving deeper into the secret world of ultra-rare pennies, including the 1955 double die and the nearly mythical 1943 bronze penny, coins that have sold for even more than the 1960 If you think this penny was exciting, wait until you hear what's out there. So don't go anywhere. Your next fortune might just be hiding in plain sight. You're rummaging through an old jar of pennies on your dresser, looking for loose change for a vending machine, and you unknowingly hold in your hand a coin worth nearly $1 million. Sounds like a fantasy, right? But it's not. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a tiny, copper coin that, in rare cases, has sold for nearly $959,000 at auction. Yes, one sent nearly $1 million. If you're like most Americans over 30, you've probably got a coffee can or box somewhere filled with old coins. Maybe it belonged to your parents, or maybe you just tossed in spare change over the years without thinking twice. But here's the twist: one of those coins might be the key to financial freedom, and the clock is ticking. Collectors are searching high and low, and these rare coins are disappearing from circulation fast. You do not want to realize what you had once. It's already sold for seven figures in someone else's hands. So let's break it down. In 1967, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. Most were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But due to a temporary suspension of mint marks that year, the 1967 penny came without any visible mint mark, making it seem, at first glance, just like the rest. Harmless. Ordinary. But here's the catch: some 1967 pennies were struck with incredibly rare variations, errors so subtle, so beautifully flawed, that collectors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands, even up to $959,000, to add them to their private vaults. Think about that. You could be holding a rare variation right now and never know it. Now, what makes a 1967 penny worth a fortune? It's not just the year. It's the condition. The errors. The striking quality. Some of these coins were double-struck. Others had off-center prints, or ultra-sharp details thanks to fresh dies and flawless planchets. And then, there are the pristine, uncirculated specimens graded MS67 or higher, the holy grails of Lincoln pennies. These are the kinds of coins that auction houses fight to list. The kind that collectors will fly across the country to inspect. The kind that could turn a casual collector into a millionaire overnight. Here's the fear kicker: most people don't know what to look for. These pennies vanish into coin rolls, parking meters, or, worst of all, Coinstar machines, where they're melted down without a second thought. The opportunity of a lifetime, gone in seconds, but not for you, because now, you know better. Let's talk specifics. A normal 1967 penny might sell for 1 to 25 cents. Maybe $1 if it's shiny. But one 1967 penny, graded MS67 red, with a razor-sharp strike, no wear, and perfect luster, recently sold for $959,000 through a private collector's auction. That's real. Verified. And it wasn't even the only one fetching six figures. Now here's where it gets exciting. You can identify these valuable coins yourself, look at the fields, the flat areas of the coin, and check for mirror-like surfaces. Examine Lincoln's coat and hair. If every strand is visible under a magnifying glass and the coin has a brilliant red hue, you're looking at a premium specimen, and if you spot a doubling of letters or numbers, especially on "In God We Trust" or the date, stop everything. You may have stumbled upon a double die variety, and that's where the serious money lives. So here's a question: when was the last time you checked the pennies in your possession? Not just glanced, but really looked. If it's been a while, maybe today's the day to start, because these coins are still out there. In estate sales. In dusty drawers. In your childhood coin collection that's sitting in a shoebox somewhere. And with inflation the way it is, wouldn't it be poetic justice if the answer to your financial worries was hiding in the form of a 1-cent coin? Of course, we all dream of making it big. A better life. A stress-free retirement. Helping our kids. Traveling the world without budgeting every hotel room. But unlike risky investments or get-rich-quick schemes, this opportunity is real, tangible, and already in circulation. The only catch: you have to know what you're looking for, and here's something you won't want to miss. At the end of this video, I'll share one crucial secret about 1967 pennies that 99% of collectors overlook, a detail that could instantly separate a common coin from a six-figure gem. But before we get there, let's quickly talk about grading. Coin grading isn't guesswork. It's an exact science, handled by third-party services like PCGS or NGC. If you think you've got something valuable, you need to get it certified. A raw coin might fetch $50. A graded MS-67 could fetch $50,000, or more. The cost to grade. Often less than $50. The potential upside. Life-changing. Now, a moment of truth. If you had a $100,000 coin, would you even know it, or would you spend it on gas, groceries, or coffee? Most people already have. Don't be one of them, because here's the final twist: some of the most valuable 1967 no-mint mark pennies aren't the ones that look flashy. They're the ones that look boring, until you know what to look for. It could be a die rotation. A rare planchet metal mix-up. Or a subtle minting anomaly that only shows up under a jeweler's loupe. And that brings us to the secret I promised earlier. There's one particular 1967 penny variety, a double die reverse with strong doubling on the Lincoln Memorial, that has sold privately for hundreds of thousands, even though it was overlooked by casual collectors for decades. Why? Because it doesn't look dramatic at first glance. You could have passed it by 1,000 times, but now, you won't, because you're paying attention. Because you know that one small detail, one overlooked feature, could unlock a new future for you and your family. So, the next time you see a penny on the ground, or sort through a jar of change, don't ignore it, pick it up. Examine it. Learn its story, because sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value, and in the case of the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, that small thing might just be the beginning of a very wealthy chapter in your life. They say change can't buy happiness, but what if the right penny could? Imagine reaching into a dusty jar on the shelf or rummaging through a forgotten drawer, and pulling out a coin that's quietly worth over $955,000. That's not a fantasy. That's not a myth. It's a reality that's happened, and it could happen to you. Today, we're diving into the astonishing story of the 1969 Lincoln penny, a tiny copper coin that could change your financial future. Yes, we're talking about a single cent, a coin that most people walk past on the sidewalk, now commanding prices that rival luxury homes and high-end sports cars. But here's the catch: not all 1969 pennies are created equal. One specific type is a millionaire in disguise, and you may already own one without realizing it. Before we get into what makes this penny so rare, let's consider a simple truth: most people overlook what's right in front of them. Every year, thousands of rare coins slip through fingers and are spent as pocket change. But for a select few who know what to look for, those everyday coins become golden tickets. That's where knowledge becomes power, and potentially, fortune. So why this penny? Why 1969? And what makes the Denver Mint mark so special? First, let's break down the basics. The 1969 D Lincoln penny was minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small d just below the date. Millions were struck. Most are ordinary. But hidden among them are a few with an incredibly rare double die obverse, a minting error that causes the date, the word liberty, and in God we trust to appear slightly duplicated, like a shadow. But this isn't just a smudge or wear. It's a clean, powerful doubling that leaps out even to the naked eye. That's the treasure. That's what collectors crave. Now here's the kicker: until recently, it was believed that none of the 1969 D coins had this error. It was only discovered years later, and now, when one surfaces, collectors go into a frenzy. One example was valued at $955,000, and experts believe that's just the beginning. As fewer and fewer examples remain, prices are climbing fast. Let's pause for a second. Are you thinking, well, I'd never have something like that? That's exactly what a man in Texas thought, until he brought in a jar of coins his late father had kept. One penny changed his life. Not because he hunted for it, but because he checked, and that leads us to an unsettling truth: most people never check. Fear of wasting time. Not knowing what to look for. Thinking it's just too good to be true. But that hesitation, that's the wall standing between you and six figures. Because in this case, knowledge is not just power, it's money. What's even more shocking is how easy it is to miss. This double die is subtle to the untrained eye, but when you know the signs, it's like finding a glowing ember in a pile of ashes. The duplication on the date and lettering is crisp. Not smeared. Not doubled from movement. But an actual doubling in the design from the minting die itself. If you've got a magnifying glass or a smartphone with a good camera, you can start checking right now. Imagine what a single coin could do for you. Pay off a mortgage. Buy a new car. Start that dream business. Or simply take the pressure off your retirement plans. This isn't lottery luck. This is knowledge, combined with action. And unlike the lottery, the odds are actually in your hands, in your drawers, your change jars, even your car's cup holder. So how do you know if your coin is the one? First, flip the coin under a bright light. Check the year, 1969, and that small D mint mark. Now look at the text. In God we trust. Do the letters look shadowed or doubled? What about liberty? If anything looks clearly doubled, stop what you're doing and put that coin in a safe place. No wiping, no cleaning, the condition matters. From there, you'll want to contact a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade the coin, giving you a precise market value. Now here's where things get thrilling, and just a little nerve-wracking. Even among collectors, few have ever seen this coin in person. Only a tiny handful are confirmed to exist. That scarcity is what sends prices skyrocketing. And with demand increasing among investors and collectors, this coin's value could climb even higher, into the millions. Still think pennies aren't worth your time? Let's go a little deeper. You might be wondering, why not just check eBay and see if they're selling for that much? Here's the twist: many sellers don't even know what they have. Fake listings flood the market. Misidentified coins get sold for pennies on the dollar. Meanwhile, the real treasures are quietly traded behind closed doors, at high-end auctions, or snapped up by private collectors who know exactly what to look for. That's the world you can step into, but only if you start looking. Let's be honest. Most of us spend years working hard, hoping for a financial break. But breaks don't always come in dramatic fashion. Sometimes they come quietly, as a small copper coin in your hand, whispering a fortune, and yes, it's thrilling to dream. But there's also urgency here. Every day that passes, these coins are spent, lost, or damaged. Every day that goes by, someone unknowingly gives away a rare penny at face value. Will that be you, or will you be the one who looked? In just a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do if you think you found one of these rare 1969 D pennies, including how to avoid getting scammed and how to sell it for top dollar. But first, consider this: coins like this don't just offer money. They offer something more valuable: freedom. The freedom to choose what you do with your time, where you live, how you take care of the people you love. That's the real treasure. So, grab that jar. Open that drawer. Search your pockets. Because if even one coin among them is the right one, your life could change overnight. And in the next few seconds, you'll know the exact steps to take to protect, authenticate, and sell your rare coin for its maximum value. But here's the real question: what would you do with $1 million penny? What if I told you there's a single penny, yes, a 1-cent coin, sitting quietly in someone's junk drawer right now, worth nearly $1 million? Imagine sifting through your loose change and discovering a coin that could transform your entire life. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But it's not fiction. It's real. And today, you're going to learn about one very specific coin, the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin that, if it's the right one, could make you a millionaire. Now, before you shrug this off and think, come on, it's just a penny, ask yourself this: how many times have you overlooked small things in life, only to realize later they were worth far more than you thought? This story is about more than money. It's about paying attention. It's about hidden value. And yes, it's about the incredible financial opportunity sitting in your pocket, or buried in a coffee can in the attic. Let's rewind the clock to 1971. Richard Nixon was president, gas was 40 cents a gallon, and the average house cost around $25,000. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, millions of Lincoln pennies were minted. Nothing special, right? Wrong. Because among those millions, a handful were struck with an error so rare and so precise, it turned these ordinary coins into high-value collectors' treasures. These coins, known as the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln cents, appear, on the surface, just like any other penny. But the devil is in the details. One small flaw in the die, an invisible anomaly to the untrained eye, can be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth $951,000. So what exactly makes a 1971 penny worth nearly $1 million? It's a combination of rarity, condition, and something coin experts call doubling. Not double the coin, but double die, a minting error that creates slightly overlapping images, usually on the date or the words, "In God We Trust." If your coin has strong doubling, especially on the motto or the word, "Liberty," you might be holding a jackpot. Let's break that down. The most famous version of the 1971 no-mint mark penny is the double die obverse, or DDO. This is when the front of the coin, Lincoln's bust, the date, and the text, was stamped twice at slightly different angles. Imagine a printing error on a dollar bill, but on solid metal. Collectors go wild for these. Why? Because they're rare. And rarity drives value. Now here's where it gets exciting, and just a little terrifying. These rare coins are still out there. People spend them every day without realizing what they have. Maybe it's in your kid's piggy bank. Maybe it was dropped on the sidewalk and swept away. Or maybe, just maybe, it's sitting in your collection, waiting to be discovered. A 1971 double die penny in mint state condition sold recently for $951,000. That's not an appraisal. That's cash in hand. Just one coin. Imagine what that kind of money could do for you. Pay off the house. Fund your retirement. Send your grandkids to college. Or maybe, just finally live the life you've always dreamed about, without compromise, still skeptical. That's smart. Let's be honest, there are a lot of penny stories floating around the internet. But this one has verified auction records, numismatic backing, and years of collector frenzy behind it. Reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC authenticate these coins, and when they hit the market, the competition is fierce. Collectors are ready to bid hundreds of thousands, sometimes within minutes, because they know just how rare these specimens are. But here's the catch: these coins only command that kind of value when they're in exceptional condition. That means no heavy scratches, no corrosion, no damage. If you've got a stash of old pennies, now is the time to sort them carefully. Use a magnifying glass. Check the date. Look closely at the text. See anything that looks off? Doubling? Distortion? Congratulations, you might be one step closer to financial freedom, and let's not forget, this isn't just about finding one magic coin. It's about realizing that coin collecting isn't a dusty old hobby for retired historians. It's a living, breathing marketplace with real money changing hands every single day. Values rise. Demand fluctuates. Opportunities appear and vanish. So don't wait. That sense of urgency. It's real. Here's where most people miss the boat. They think, oh, I'll get around to it. Weeks pass. Months. Maybe the coin gets lost, or damaged, or worse, spent. And someone else finds it. Someone else cashes in. All because you didn't take 10 minutes to check your change. What if you don't have a 1971 penny? Don't worry, this is just the beginning. There are dozens of rare coins that could be hiding in plain sight, just like this one. Every old jar of pennies is a potential treasure chest. But you'll never know unless you start looking, and here's the real question. If someone handed you a sealed envelope and said, this could contain a check for $1 million, or nothing at all, would you throw it away unopened? Of course not. So why treat your coins any differently, you might be wondering, okay, but how do I actually sell it if I find one? Great question. At the end of this video, we're going to cover exactly what steps to take if you think you've got a rare 1971 penny in your hands. Who to contact. Where to get it graded. How to avoid scams and make sure you get every penny, pun absolutely intended, of what it's worth. But first, there's one more twist to this story. A version of the 1971 no-mint mark penny exists that was never meant to leave the mint. Only a few examples are rumored to have escaped into the wild. And if that coin ever surfaces, experts say it could easily break the $1 million mark. So far, no one's confirmed it publicly, but the hunt is on. Still think it's just a penny? Stick around, because in the next 60 seconds, we're going to walk you through exactly how to identify a true double-die 1971 penny, what to look for, where the signs show up, and the fastest way to know if your coin is potentially life-changing. Don't blink. That penny in your drawer might just be the opportunity you've been waiting for your entire life. But what if I told you that the humble 1-cent coin sitting in your kitchen drawer could be worth as much as $948,000, nearly $1 million, and yes, it has happened. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the 1973 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, and why one rare version of it has made collectors and everyday Americans alike scramble to check their change. Now, before you dismiss this as another coin collector's fantasy, let me ask you something. How many times have you thrown pennies into a jar without a second thought? How many of those were from the 1970s? You might be sitting on a small fortune and not even know it. People all across the US are waking up to the shocking truth that wealth can come in the tiniest, copper-plated form. The 1973 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver. The D mark is your clue, and over 3.5 billion of them were produced. So, yes, at first glance it seems too common to be valuable. But here's the twist: in that massive batch, a handful of these coins were struck with errors, anomalies, and incredibly rare features that make them virtually priceless in the eyes of collectors. It's not the date alone, it's what lies beneath the surface. One such coin, a near-perfect specimen with a rare double-die error and pristine red luster, stunned the numismatic community when it fetched a staggering $948,000 at auction. That's not hype. That's not a theory. That's a fact. And what makes this even more exciting? There are others out there, unaccounted for, possibly forgotten in old coin jars, dresser drawers, or inherited collections sitting in shoeboxes in your attic. Imagine for a moment what you would do if tomorrow you discovered one of these ultra-rare coins. Would you keep it as a generational asset, or sell it and upgrade your life overnight? A better car, a better home, financial freedom, all from one penny. Suddenly, that change jar looks a lot more interesting, doesn't it? so what makes this particular 1973 penny worth nearly $1 million? Let's get into the details, because understanding this could be the key to spotting one yourself. First, condition is everything. A high-grade, uncirculated coin, particularly one certified MS-67 or higher, instantly multiplies its value. Second, and this is crucial, error types. The rarest versions of the 1973 penny include dramatic doubling in the date or lettering, off-center strikes, or transitional metal compositions mistakenly used during minting. It's these errors, invisible to most, that turn ordinary coins into treasures, and here's where it gets thrilling, because these mint errors aren't always obvious. Sometimes, it takes a magnifying glass. Other times, a certified grading service. But the real kicker? Many of these coins haven't been found yet. They're still out there, buried in circulation, hiding in coin collections that haven't been looked at in years. Every day that passes is a chance for someone else to find what could have been yours. You may be wondering, why don't more people know about this? That's a fair question. The truth is, coin collecting has always had a quiet, almost secretive culture. It's a world most people don't pay attention to, until a headline breaks about someone retiring early off a penny. And by then, it's too late. But now you know, and that leads to an important question: do you know what to look for in your own coins? Do you know how to identify a double die? Or the weight difference that can signal a transitional error? Most people don't. Most people let opportunity pass them by because it looks like nothing more than spare change. Don't be most people. Let's talk urgency. The coin market is heating up. In fact, values for rare coins have soared in recent years, especially among baby boomers and Gen X collectors with newfound interest and income. With inflation and economic uncertainty, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming more attractive than ever. That means increased demand, and fewer chances to find these gems before they're locked away in private collections forever. Funny how a penny, something we step over on the sidewalk, can suddenly become the most exciting part of your day. But here we are. That 1973 penny in your house. It might just be your golden ticket. And no, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know what to look for, and to start looking. So, here's your first step: grab that jar of coins you've been ignoring. Look for the 1973 date with the D mint mark below Lincoln's bust. Examine it under bright light. Look for doubling on the date or lettering. Check the rim for irregularities. And if anything looks even remotely unusual, get it evaluated. Reputable grading services can authenticate and value your coin. It could cost you $50, or make you a millionaire, but don't stop there. Spread the word. Check your relatives' old coin collections. Ask your parents, your grandparents. Older generations often saved pennies for sentimental reasons, not realizing they were also saving wealth. And here's the cliffhanger you didn't see coming: while the $948,000 penny has already made headlines, there's mounting speculation among experts that even rarer variations of the 1973 penny exist. Ones that haven't been discovered yet. Coins with errors so unique they could break records and reset the value scale entirely. Could one of them be in your house right now? This is your moment. While others are chasing get-rich-quick schemes, you're about to make the smartest move of all, checking the one thing nobody else is thinking about. Your spare change. Because sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest opportunities. Before this video ends, let me ask you, will you be the next story that shocks the world, or will you let the opportunity pass into someone else's hands? Don't wait. Start looking. Your $1 million penny might be closer than you think. That's not fantasy. That's a real opportunity sitting in homes just like yours, right now, across America. Today, we're diving deep into a coin you may have overlooked your entire life, the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Sounds ordinary, right? But this seemingly average 1-cent coin has shaken up the coin collecting world, with auction prices reaching as high as $944,000. And some rare variants? They're rumored to be inching toward 7 figures. Imagine turning one humble penny into a retirement fund, a college tuition, or even the keys to your dream home. Now, you might be wondering, how is this possible? How can a coin minted in the millions be worth anything beyond a cent? Here's where things get interesting. In 1980, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Most carried a small P or D mint mark indicating they were made in Philadelphia or Denver. But a small number of coins somehow left the mint without any mark at all. These are known as the no mint mark errors, and they've become one of the most coveted treasures in the numismatic community. Why? Because these weren't just any errors. These coins exhibit near-perfect strike quality, unique copper alloy blends, and in some cases, even doubling of the date or Lincoln's bust, adding to their rarity and desirability. And here's the kicker, many of these coins were put into circulation unnoticed. That means they've been hiding in plain sight for over 40 years, tossed into jars, tucked into drawers, passed through gas stations, or buried in collections people never thought twice about. They could be in your wallet right now, but so how do you know if your 1980 penny is the one? First, grab a magnifying glass or even your smartphone camera. Look closely at the coin. If there's no mint mark under the year, and the coin is in excellent condition, you might have something special. If you see a clean strike, sharp features, and little to no wear, the next step is to check for something called die variety, subtle differences that only occur during minting accidents. Still with me? Good. Because now we get into the part that has made collectors millionaires overnight. Grading. Coin grading is like a report card for your penny. The better the condition, the higher the grade, and the more someone might be willing to pay. A 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny graded MS67 or higher by a reputable agency like PCGS or NGC can command hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. And if you're lucky enough to find one with unique doubling or a rare composition variant, the sky is the limit. Of course, it's easy to think, this won't happen to me. I've looked through my coins before. But have you? Have you looked with intention, knowing exactly what to search for? Most people haven't. Most people assume wealth only comes from hard work, long hours, or luck. But sometimes, it comes from knowledge. The right knowledge. Now, here's where things get even more urgent. The market for rare coins is heating up. As more collectors and investors pour money into physical assets, the prices are climbing faster than ever. The 1980 no-mint mark penny that sold for $32,000 just 5 years ago. That exact coin type recently sold for nearly $944,000. You heard that right. $944,000. For a penny. Let that sink in, and here's something that might surprise you, many of these windfalls aren't happening to collectors. They're happening to everyday people. Retirees going through old coin jars. Families cleaning out estates. Someone dumping their change into a Coinstar machine, only to be told, hey, you might want to hang on to that one. The question now is, will you be one of them, or will you let the opportunity slip past, while others cash in on coins you could have found yourself? I know, it's a lot to take in. Maybe you're feeling a mix of excitement, disbelief, even a bit of FOMO. That's okay. It means you're paying attention. You should be. Because this isn't just about pennies. It's about breaking the myth that wealth is always out of reach. It's about finding hidden value in the everyday. And it's about recognizing that the life you want might be one smart decision away. And we're not done yet. In a moment, I'll tell you exactly how to authenticate your 1980 penny, where to get it graded, and how to sell it for top dollar, without getting ripped off. Because yes, there are scams out there. And yes, not all coins are what they seem. But if you stick with me, you'll walk away knowing exactly how to separate the fakes from the fortunes. But first, have you ever wondered why some coins become so valuable in the first place? It's not just about rarity. It's about timing, demand, and story. The 1980 no-mint mark penny represents a slice of American history, a transition in minting policy, a reflection of evolving economic pressures, and an unintentional error that turned ordinary into extraordinary. Investors are buying these coins not just for profit, but for the narrative, and nothing fuels demand like a good story. Which is why the time to act is now. Prices are rising. Supplies are drying up. And the next $1 million penny is out there, waiting to be found. Could it be in your collection? Could it be sitting in your glove box right now? In just a minute, I'll walk you through the exact checklist to evaluate your 1980 penny, and show you how some people made life-changing money without spending a single extra dime. But before we get there, I'll ask you something simple. If you knew there was even a 1% chance that a penny in your house was worth nearly $1 million, wouldn't you look? What if the clock is ticking, and the people who take action now are the ones who walk away with wealth? Don't miss this. Because coming up, I'll reveal how one man turned his grandmother's coin jar into a six-figure payday, what not to do when selling a valuable penny, and the one mistake that has cost coin owners thousands of dollars every single year. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay with me. We're just getting to the good part. Maybe even your entire retirement savings combined. Imagine finding a single coin worth $938,000. Just lying at the bottom of an old cookie tin. Sounds like a dream. It's not. It's real. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most remarkable modern coin discoveries, the elusive 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Before you rush to your junk drawer or break open that piggy bank, stay with me. Because there's more to this story than just a number. There's history, mystery, and a ticking clock. The value of this penny is rising, and for some lucky few, it's already changed their lives. Let's rewind. The year is 1988. George H. W. Bush is about to win the presidency, CDs are replacing cassette tapes, and millions of Lincoln pennies are quietly being minted, just as they have been for decades. But in that massive production run, a mistake was made. A subtle, almost imperceptible minting error that would go unnoticed by the average person, and yet, that very flaw would become the key to a fortune. The 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent looks like every other penny at first glance. Abraham Lincoln on the front. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. Copper-plated zinc. We've all handled hundreds of them. But numismatists, coin experts, noticed something odd. A small number of these coins lacked the typical mint mark. That single missing detail signified a dramatic anomaly, a deviation from the normal minting process. And when it comes to coins, rarity is king. Now, here's where things get interesting. In the world of coin collecting, errors aren't always mistakes, they're opportunities. The absence of a mint mark on this particular 1988 penny indicated it was likely struck with a die intended for proof coins. That die shouldn't have been used for circulation. But it was. And only a handful made it out into the world. That's what makes this coin so incredibly valuable. The fewer that exist, the more collectors will pay. And the most pristine examples? They've reached jaw-dropping prices. One just sold for $938,000. Let that sink in. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I probably don't have one of these. But are you sure? Over 11 billion pennies were minted that year. And if even one of those rare no-mint mark coins made it into circulation in your region, it could be in your change jar right now. Wouldn't it be worth 5 minutes to find out? So how do you know if you've got one? Here's what you need to look for. Start by grabbing any 1988 penny. Flip it under a magnifying glass. Look just below the year on the obverse, where the mint mark should be. If it's missing entirely, you may be onto something. But there's more. You'll also want to check the reverse side under magnification. The details in the Lincoln Memorial, specifically the designer's initials, FG, can show telltale signs of the proof die. That's where the money is. And remember, condition matters. A worn coin might fetch hundreds. But one in near-perfect condition. That's where six figures come into play. Still not convinced it's worth your time? Consider this, the coin market is heating up. With inflation concerns, market volatility, and a growing interest in tangible assets, rare coins are becoming a powerful hedge. Wealthy investors are snapping them up at auctions. What used to be the hobby of a few is now a serious financial strategy. And that penny sitting unnoticed in a drawer could be your way in, but there's a catch: these coins are being found slowly, one by one. And each new discovery slightly reduces the value of the next. The clock is ticking. The more that surface, the less rare they become. You do not want to be the person who hears about this a year too late, only to realize you had one, and gave it away in a coin roll at the bank. Now, I know what you might be asking. What do I do if I think I've found one? Great question. First, do not clean the coin, no matter how tempting. Cleaning can instantly reduce its value. Instead, place it in a soft container or coin flip. Then, contact a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. A proper certification is essential. It's what turns a maybe into a marketable asset. From there, you can take it to auction houses, coin dealers, or private collectors, many of whom are on waiting lists to get their hands on these rare coins. And here's the real kicker: some of these buyers aren't even in the US. International collectors are eyeing American coins now more than ever. This is a global market. Your penny could be the crown jewel of someone's billion-dollar collection overseas. It's easy to dismiss coins as small change. But remember, fortunes are built not just on effort, but on knowledge. The people who get ahead financially aren't always working harder, they're working smarter. They see opportunities where others see junk. They check that old drawer, that shoebox in the attic, that dusty coin jar, and sometimes, they strike gold. So now, the million-dollar question: could you be holding the next six-figure coin? We're just getting started. In the next part of this series, we'll reveal another overlooked penny from the 1990s that's quietly rising in value, and might be even rarer than the 1988. You won't want to miss it. Until then, go check your coins. Seriously. Right now. Because the next incredible discovery, it could be yours. Sounds unbelievable, right? But there's a specific 1-cent coin, an ordinary-looking 1990 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, that's been known to sell for up to $930,000. Yes, you heard that right. Almost $1 million. For a single penny. In fact, one of these coins recently shook the entire numismatic world when it went to auction, and made headlines for fetching nearly 7 figures. Now imagine for a moment, you're rummaging through an old coin jar, maybe one passed down by a parent or forgotten in the back of a closet. You feel the cold metal between your fingers, and suddenly, you notice something strange. No mint mark under the date. Could this be the one? That tiny detail, or rather, the lack of it, could change your life forever. But before we dive into why this humble copper-plated coin has the power to transform ordinary people into six-figure earners overnight, let me ask you, when was the last time you really looked at your pennies? Not just tossed them into a tip jar or left them on the counter. I mean, really examined them, because here's the thing: every day, people unknowingly pass up on a fortune. And the worst part? They don't even realize what they're holding in their hands. Back in 1990, the U.S. Mint was producing Lincoln pennies as usual. That year, Philadelphia minted pennies were supposed to bear a tiny P mint mark beneath the year. But due to a minting error, a very small number of these coins were struck without that mark. At a glance, they look just like every other penny. But under the surface, they are extremely rare, so rare, in fact, that only a few confirmed examples exist today. One such coin was graded by PCGS, the professional coin grading service, as a near-perfect specimen. That single coin sold for $930,000 at auction. Let that sink in for a second. That's a life-changing sum of money. That's paying off your mortgage, retiring early, sending your kids to college, and still having enough to vacation in Tuscany for the summer. Now you might be wondering, how do I know if I have that coin? And more importantly, why is it worth so much? The rarity of the no mint mark 1990 penny comes down to the U.S. Mint's strict procedures. By 1990, the P mint mark had been standard practice for coins struck in Philadelphia. So when even a handful slipped through without it, collectors took notice. It's not just a minting error, it's a certified anomaly. And anomalies, when verified and in pristine condition, command astronomical prices. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most people assume their coins have to be ancient or gold to be valuable. That's simply not true. Value is determined by rarity, demand, condition, and yes, timing. And right now, there's a surge of interest in error coins. The market is hot. Coin collecting is no longer just a quiet hobby for retirees, it's a serious investment strategy. People are flipping rare coins for profits that rival stock portfolios. So before you roll your eyes and think, it's just a penny, consider this. What if the wealth you've been dreaming of isn't hiding in some distant opportunity, but sitting quietly in a forgotten jar, waiting for you to notice? Let me share a quick story. A man in Pennsylvania found one of these 1990 no-mint mark pennies while organizing his late father's coin collection. He nearly tossed it aside, thinking it was just another common coin. But something about it caught his eye. He looked it up, had it authenticated, and, boom. That one penny sold for over $800,000. One coin. One decision. A new future, and here's the kicker. His dad had no idea what he was holding. Which begs the question, how many more of these coins are sitting in old boxes, estate sales, flea markets, or even in your pocket change, still skeptical? Good. Healthy skepticism means you're paying attention. But also ask yourself, what would it hurt to look? Here's what you need to do. Grab any 1990 Lincoln pennies you can find. Flip them over. Look right beneath the year. If there's no mint mark, no small letter P, you might be onto something. But don't stop there. The condition matters. A heavily circulated coin won't command the same price, but even in moderately good shape, you could still be looking at several $1,000s, and this is where it gets urgent. The more people who start looking for these coins, the harder it becomes to find one. Early birds get the gold, or in this case, the copper-coated treasure. With every passing month, the value increases because these coins are being snatched up and locked into private collections. So what happens if you do find one? First, don't clean it. Seriously, cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Next, take high-resolution photos, and contact a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll verify authenticity and grade its condition, which is crucial for valuation. Now here's a question worth asking. What will you do if your penny is the one? Would you keep it? Sell it? Invest it? Would it finally allow you to leave the job you've been stuck in? Pay off debt? Travel? Secure your family's future? Or would you miss the opportunity, because you assumed it was just another penny? We're at a point in time where people are waking up to the hidden wealth around them. It's not in some crypto scheme or risky startup. It's in real, tangible, overlooked pieces of history. And sometimes, those pieces are hiding in plain sight. Still with me? Good. Because here's where it gets even more fascinating. That there's a growing black market of counterfeit versions of the 1990 no-mint mark penny. That's right, this coin is so valuable, people are forging it. But don't be discouraged. The real ones can be spotted through careful authentication, and that's what separates fortune from frustration. So the real question is, are you ready to check your collection? Because one coin, one moment of curiosity, one decision to look a little closer, could be the beginning of an entirely new chapter. And if you're wondering how to sell it, where to sell it, and how to avoid being scammed, don't worry. That's exactly what we're going to break down in the next video. You won't want to miss it. Imagine finding one tucked away in an old coffee can, a forgotten piggy bank, or a dusty box in your attic. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has quietly entered the spotlight, and some of these coins have sold for up to $918,000. And get this, a few experts believe that if the right buyer meets the right coin, it could fetch even more, possibly crossing into the millions. Sounds like a dream, right? But it's real, and people just like you are cashing in. Now before you dump out your coin jar, take a breath. This isn't just about luck. It's about knowing exactly what to look for, and how to spot something everyone else overlooks. Because here's the truth, 99% of people who hold one of these coins in their hands won't recognize what they have, and that could be a devastating mistake. Back in 1994, the United States Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of 1-cent coins. Most of them were average, run-of-the-mill pennies. But somewhere in the production process, something happened. A very small number of these pennies were minted without a mint mark, missing the tiny P that designates their origin. At first glance, they look like every other penny. But what sets them apart is a combination of striking errors, sharp details, and rare metal compositions. It's this odd combination that makes certain 1994 no-mint mark pennies so incredibly valuable. You see, collectors aren't just paying for the coin, they're paying for history, rarity, and the story behind the flaw. And when demand meets scarcity, that's when values skyrocket. One such coin recently shocked the numismatic community by selling at auction for $918,000. And yes, it came straight from someone's personal stash. A regular person. Not a millionaire. Not a dealer. Someone just like you. Still think that old jar of coins on your shelf is just clutter? Imagine being able to pay off your mortgage, or buy your dream home, with a coin you nearly gave to a cashier. Imagine telling your family that a single penny changed everything. That's the kind of story we're talking about here. But only for those who know what to look for. So how do you tell if you're holding one of these miracle coins? It starts with the mint mark, or lack of one. A genuine 1994 no-mint mark penny should appear flawless in certain ways. Sharp, full lines on the Lincoln Memorial. Clean details on Lincoln's coat and face. And no visible letter under the date. But here's where it gets tricky. Thousands of 1994 pennies also have no mint mark, but they're completely ordinary. Only the rare few were struck with unique die characteristics, or show striking errors like off-center images or doubling of letters, known in the collector world as double dies. Still with me? Good, because this is where it gets intense. Experts advise using a 10x magnifying glass to examine each coin carefully. Look at the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and especially the date. Is there any doubling in the letters? Does the edge appear perfectly round, or is it slightly misaligned? Is Lincoln's eye sharply defined, or slightly distorted? These tiny details can be the difference between 1 cent and nearly 1 million. Now, here's where most people go wrong: they clean the coin. Never, ever clean a coin. Even wiping it with a cloth can destroy microscopic details and kill its value. Leave it exactly as you found it. Collectors and grading services want it in raw, untouched condition. In fact, cleaning a rare penny is like washing a Picasso painting. You'll destroy what makes it valuable. And speaking of grading, if you think your penny shows promise, the next step is to get it professionally graded. Companies like PCGS or NGC will analyze, grade, and encapsulate your coin to confirm its authenticity and rarity. Without certification, even a rare coin might sell for only a fraction of its true worth. With it, you might be sitting on a retirement fund. But let's pause for a second. Why are these coins worth so much in the first place? The answer lies in emotion. Collectors are often driven by nostalgia, rarity, and a personal connection to American history. The 1994 no-mint mark penny represents a tiny blip in the smooth-running machine of the U.S. Mint. A flaw. A hiccup. A 1 in a billion mistake. And for some, owning that mistake is priceless. Here's a little irony to chew on: while most people are desperately trying to save money, some are unknowingly sitting on small fortunes. It's a quiet kind of wealth. One that doesn't scream from the driveway or sparkle on a wrist. Just a coin. A coin that could rewrite your financial future. So what now? You might be wondering, should you start digging through every coin you've ever owned? Well, yes. But do it smartly. Focus on years like 1994, check for mint marks, or missing ones, and always be on the lookout for oddities in design, strike, or alignment. And remember, condition is everything. The better preserved, the higher the potential value. And here's the kicker: some coin dealers and collectors are actively seeking these coins right now. That means if you have one, you're not just holding money, you're holding leverage. There are bidding wars going on behind closed doors. And all it takes is one verified, rare specimen to spark a frenzy. Still think pennies are worthless? Now, I know what you're thinking. What are the chances I actually have one? And here's where fear comes in, not fear of what's in your coin jar, but fear of what you might throw away without knowing. Every time someone pays with pennies, one of these rare coins might be sliding across a counter unnoticed. It's happening every day, and yet, there's still a chance. Every drawer, every piggy bank, every dusty change jar could be hiding something extraordinary. The question is, will you find it before someone else does? Because in just a moment, I'm going to reveal how one man almost spent his $918,000 penny at a gas station, and what stopped him will shock you. But before we get there, ask yourself, when was the last time you looked at a penny? Really looked? Don't blink. You might just miss your $1,000,000 moment. Now, imagine if that same forgotten coin, sitting quietly in a jar in your kitchen, was your ticket to a life of luxury, freedom, and generational wealth. It sounds unreal, right? But it's happening right now, and it could happen to you. Today, we're diving into one of the most astonishing stories in U.S. coin history, the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin most Americans don't even look at twice. Yet recently, one of these tiny copper treasures sold for $905,000, and others have been valued at up to several $1,000,000. Yes, millions. So the next time you brush past that coin jar, you might want to take a closer look. Before we get to why this humble 1-cent coin can command life-changing money, let's set the stage. Back in 1995, the U.S. Mint produced billions, yes, billions, of pennies. Most were made in Philadelphia, which traditionally doesn't stamp a mint mark on coins. These are the everyday pennies you've seen your whole life. So, how could one of them possibly be worth more than a 6-bedroom house in Malibu? The answer lies in the tiniest of details, and a nearly invisible mistake. You see, during that year, a small number of Lincoln cents were struck with a dramatic doubling of the image on the obverse side, specifically, in the words, "Liberty," and, "In God We Trust." This error is what collectors call a double die. And while thousands of these might have quietly passed through vending machines, only a few pristine, sharply doubled examples survived. Now, here's the kicker: collectors are obsessed with perfection. The rarest 1995 double-die penny that sold for nearly $1,000,000. It was graded MS-69 red by PCGS. That's just 1 point away from absolute perfection, and the red refers to its flawless, untinted color. That kind of quality? Near impossible. That's what drives the value sky high. Still think it's just pocket change? Let's talk about the psychology of scarcity. Imagine you're one of the very few people on Earth who owns a nearly perfect 1995 double-die Lincoln cent. Not only are you holding a coin that survived the odds, but you also possess something that wealthy collectors are desperate to own. The moment it enters the market, it becomes a bidding war. Prices surge. Tensions rise. And suddenly, what you thought was worthless, is your most valuable asset, and here's where it gets emotional. Many people who discover these rare coins are everyday Americans. Retirees cleaning out old drawers. Single parents rolling coins to cover rent. Veterans sorting through family heirlooms. Ordinary folks, just like you, who stumble upon extraordinary fortune. Can you feel it? That little twinge of excitement, the thought, what if I have one? Well, before you run off to dig through your change jar, let's get specific. What exactly should you look for? First, grab a magnifying glass or a smartphone with a high-resolution camera. Focus on the word liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." If the letters look doubled, almost like they have a shadow or a ghost image, you might be staring at the double-die variety, but a word of caution: the coin market is full of wishful thinking. Just because a penny looks odd doesn't mean it's worth 6 figures. Condition is everything. Coins that are scratched, worn, or discolored may only fetch a few dollars, if anything. To determine real value, you'll need it professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. And if your coin comes back with a high mint state grade, you might want to sit down before checking the auction estimates. Now you're probably wondering, why haven't I heard of this before? Why isn't everyone rich from pennies? The truth is, most people don't know what to look for. These coins pass from hand to hand, completely unnoticed. It's not until someone takes the time to learn, like you're doing right now, that they realize they've been sitting on a hidden fortune. It's like a national treasure hunt, but without Nicolas Cage, and here's the urgency: every day, more of these coins are getting lost, damaged, or melted down. The window to find one in pristine condition? It's closing fast. So if you're waiting for the right time to check your coins, that time is now, but hold on. What if you don't have the 1995 double-die penny? Don't despair. Because this is just the beginning. There are dozens, yes, dozens, of rare Lincoln cents, wheat pennies, and error coins that sell for thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we'll be covering those in upcoming videos. You have more opportunities sitting in a coffee can in your attic than you realize. Your path to wealth might not be through real estate, the stock market, or tech startups. It could be hiding in plain sight. It could be copper and zinc. It could be 1 cent. So here's what to do next. Don't just let this information pass you by. Get curious. Get digging. Inspect your pennies like your future depends on it, because for some people, it truly has. And in our next video, we'll reveal a different penny, even older, that recently shattered expectations at auction for over $1.2 million, and it's far more common than you think. But be warned, most people throw it away without a second thought. Don't be one of them. Make sure you're subscribed. And remember, sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value. Keep your eyes open. Your fortune could be in your hand, right now.